Hello and welcome to Mark and Pete. This is the podcast where we bring you colourful conversations on faith, politics, culture and all the rest. And today's just Pete holding the fort, and we're going to dive into something very interesting: time travel and its relation to the nature of time itself. Is time travel possible, is the question. And what does the possibility or not of time travel tell us about the nature of the universe, tell us about the nature of our faith in God, and what does it have to say to us about the way that we live our lives? Time travel has been a favourite of science fiction and fantasy, from Doctor Who to Back to the Future to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we can imagine ourselves into such movies, such presentations. We can imagine ourselves hopping into the past or perhaps jumping into the future and see what's happening. But can that happen in the real world? Is it possible? Now, that depends on what we understand about time itself. There are really two main ways that people have thought about time. One is the A theory of time, or sometimes called the tensed theory. And in this view, you have the past having occurred. It's not real anymore. It's happened. It's fixed. The future hasn't happened yet, so that's not real either. It has yet to happen. Those are the tenses. But the present tense, is real. Only the present is real. The past has happened and is fixed. The future is yet to happen. You can picture it as riding along on a train, and each moment of time is like a new station. When you get into the new station, it exists, but the previous bit of the line doesn't, and the line ahead, well, that hasn't even been laid yet. The B theory of time, on the other hand, the other main theory of time, the way of thinking about time, is also known as the tenseless theory. Now, this B theory of time says that all moments are, whether they're past, present, and future, exist simultaneously. They're like a map where you can go to any point of it. You could dip into it. If you're outside of time, as sometimes people posit that God is outside of time, you could dip in at any point you like. We travel along it, along through time in a certain manner, but it's possible to travel in a different way. You could theoretically jump from one moment on this map and go to another moment on the map. That's the B theory. But under the A theory, where only the present actually exists, only the present is real, the idea of moving between different moments in the future and the past doesn't work, because the past and the future just aren't real. They aren't there. There's nothing there to visit. So this seems to mean then that time travel just isn't possible under the A theory of time. But that's not necessarily so, because some scientists, some philosophers have said that time travel could work, but in a different sense, more like manipulating the present to create a new timeline. Then you've got an alternative time you could go into. This is used, for example, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's idea of time travel. So you travel into a different time, but you can go, for example, into the past, but it's not the same past. Or you can travel into the future, but it's a different future. It's purely speculative, though, and it's quite hard, really, to square with what we actually see in reality. So it does seem that under the A theory of time, that time travel not just doesn't exist, but cannot exist. It raises interesting theological questions for Christians as well. If only the present is real, as the A theory of time, the tense theory of time suggests, it means that now is what matters. Think about it like this. The Bible often reminds us of this, to live fully in the present, to seize the moment. 2 Corinthians 6 verse 2 says, "Behold, Now is the favourable time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. They're often reminders like that now is the time. And it's certainly under the A theory of time, you've only got now. So if now is the time, you better act. God, it also says in the Bible, has set eternity in our hearts. That's a quote from Ecclesiastes. But he's also placed us in time bound by limits. Where in time, whether we like it or not, there is nowhere else to be. Because the past isn't real, the future hasn't happened yet, there's only now. Now, we might be captivated by the idea of breaking the limits on time, but you can't do it. It just isn't real. If you could go back in time, do you want to see what's going to happen to you in the future, or would you like to go back in time to a particular moment and in history? In which case, which moment in history would you really want to go back to? Time travel, under the A theory of time, in other words, under the reality about time, isn't possible, at least not the way that Hollywood and fiction writers have imagined. But I think that's for the best. We're called to live in the present, to honour God with the time that we've given, and so we've got the opportunity to do that and to look forward to the day when eternity will break in and Jesus will come to set everything right. We're given the time to act now. So let's do it. Let's seize the moment. Well, thank you for joining me in this solo episode of Mark and Pete. If you've got any thoughts about time travel, theology, or what you'd like to do with a time machine, let us know in the comments. You simply have to go to markandpete.com. Make sure you're subscribed, and you can leave a comment on this and every episode. And as always, keep thinking, keep questioning, and keep the faith.